Hello and welcome to the Children's Activity Business Academy podcast. I'm Chrissy Monaghan, your host, and I'm here to help you start, grow and scale your business with confidence. And in today's podcast, I want to talk to you about overwhelm and give you some tips on how to deal with overwhelm. So you might be thinking, well, Chrissy, why are you talking about overwhelm? That's nothing to do with starting a business or growing a business or scaling a business. But having said that, I have worked with hundreds of providers over the last year through my Market Like a Pop Star 5-day challenge and through my paid programs. And one of the feedback that I always get, like one of the pain points that my clients or people in the challenges face is dealing with overwhelm. And I think the reason why they get overwhelmed is because we're all parents. And if we're parents or carers of children, we've got a lot going on with like school runs and nursery runs and managing homes and like lots of different things happening all at once. And so I feel like it's something that most female entrepreneurs face. And I felt like, right, do you know what? I've got some tips on how to deal with overwhelm. So I'm going to share them today with you guys so that you feel less overwhelmed in running your business. So first of all, running your own business is a big challenge in itself, and well done for taking the big leap of faith to be either a director of your own business or self-employed as a sole trader, because it's not easy. The easy option could be to be working full-time, working for somebody else, but you've not chosen that option. So that's the first thing that you need to sort of give yourself a pat on the back about. But overwhelm. Okay, these are my tips. First of all, you need a diary. Okay, so you either need an electronic diary or you need a paper diary. Now, I love both. I love a paper diary because I love to physically write things down so I can see it all. I just feel like I take in things better. And I also like to sort of keep a journal as well. So I kept one last year so I could like see all the things I did over the year and obviously look back and think, wow, we actually did a lot. And obviously also keeping records of everything helps you with your planning going forward. But you need a diary, and I use obviously a diary for written stuff, but I also use an electronic diary, and my diary is linked to my email account, which is Outlook. So you definitely need a diary in place to make this work for you. So diary's in place. The second thing you need to do is on a Friday afternoon, which is the best time that I do it, I mind map out my work, okay? I mind map all the work that I've got to do out. Now, there's different tools for this. You could use MindMaster, which is a free tool. I think that gives you free maps for free and then you have to pay for it, or you can just map it out on paper. But you need to map out all the work that needs to be done. So there's one big job and then there's lots of little jobs that come off of that one big job. That's what you put down in the mind map. The third thing you need to do is then allocate the time it takes to do those jobs. So for me, if I'm writing a blog, it's like 2 hours. If I'm recording a podcast, it's probably going to be, an hour's worth of time of recording, editing, uploading, etc. If I'm scheduling social media, it could be a couple of hours. If I'm just doing an invoice, that's like a minute. So you need to time allocate all the jobs, okay? So you know how long it takes to do all of the work. The next part then is to look at your working week for the following week. So then you map out all your physical deliveries. So if you're out teaching 30 hours a week, like some of my clients do, or you could be out there teaching 10 hours a week, then obviously common sense tells you that you don't have much time available to do all the other work. So there's two ways of looking at this. So if you're mapping out 10 hours a week, you know what that looks like. You also may have some non-negotiables in your life. So if you love going to the gym or exercising or doing your thing for your mental health and your wellness, they could be non-negotiables and they need to be booked into your diary. So mine is exercise and it's always booked in and it's non-negotiable. It has to happen. So then that leaves me with a number of hours for that week to actually do some work, okay? This is when people get overwhelmed because they think, oh my God, I've got so much work to do and I don't have the time. So let's how we break this down. So you'll have your list of jobs you've got, and you've also allocated the time. You go back to your diary and then you looked at what availability you've got left. So if you only have 4 hours for that week to actually do some work on your business, and it needs to be the work that's going to move your business forward, not scrolling on social media, the work that you need to do to move your business forward. Then you look at it and go, okay, I've got 4 hours this week to do some core work. What work am I going to choose? Now, it could be that you go, right, I need to write my blog this week, so that's 2 hours. That's 2 hours gone. I've only got 2 hours left. What have I got left that I could use? So you could be doing some medium work, which may take an hour, or some quick jobs that may take 30 minutes. Then, once you've decided which activities you're going to do, you go back to your calendar and you book them in the diary. So Monday morning could be blog writing, and then Friday morning could be planning your social media. But you book them in as an appointment with you. So like if you booked an appointment with me at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, you're going to be showing up, aren't you? You need to show up for yourself. Now, once you've blocked the time out, and you set on for your alarm, so you know in 15 minutes time, I'm going to be focusing on blog writing or whatever you've chosen to do, you have to switch off all distractions. No email, no social media, no bing bong. Take it all off so then you can literally concentrate solely for 2 hours on the work you need to do. So, by doing this, you only want to select probably about 3 to 4 bigger jobs. Don't select like 10 jobs, because you're never going to get them done if you only have 4 hours to do it, okay? So select 3 to 4 jobs, okay? You probably want a mixture of some bigs, some mediums, and some smalls. Now, if you get to the end of that day on Monday and you're like, oh, I've plowed through my blog and I've got a spare 30 minutes, then you could go back to your mind map, look at the jobs that you had that were short jobs. So I often do this if I get to 3 o'clock and I know the school runs at 3:30 and I think, right, I've got half an hour to whack out a lot of quick jobs. I will then get those quick jobs and work through them and get them done. And then they're ticked off my list. And that's the other tip on your calendar. If you use a Microsoft Outlook, you can set yourself a day to-do list. So then you can tick it off. And there's nothing better than your little computer going, bing, you've done the job. Okay? So once you've done that, by the end of the week, you'll be in the same boat again. You mind map the week ahead, what big jobs, medium jobs, little jobs you've got, book them in the diary. You will find you are going to be so much more productive. I'm telling you this because I use this method and it works for me really, really well. Sometimes I get to the end of the week and I'm like, wow, all my jobs are done. Now I've got some time to do something for me. There, wouldn't you love that? Now, if you are a business owner, because I do have a couple of these, who work 30 hours a week plus teaching, or they have another job, then you need to start thinking about, okay, I need to outsource this work, okay? You either ditch, delegate, or outsource it, okay? Because you cannot physically do all the work. So I do have people like this where I'm like, okay, you need to outsource some of this work because you can't physically be out for 30 hours a week and then come home and have a child to look after and do school runs and bedtime routines. You're just going to wipe yourself out and burn yourself out. You have to outsource. So never be afraid to outsource tasks. I have a virtual assistant. Her name is Jade. She's part of the Children's Activity Business Academy. If you ever want administration support, let me know. But think of it this way. The money you pay to outsource the work, if you were paying a virtual assistant £25 an hour, that means that time you could claw back and actually focus on making more money in your business. So you could go out and follow up with all your customers that did trial classes, bring in those bookings, and you could get someone that's paying for a block of 6 weeks in full. There's your money back in time. So I always say don't worry about outsourcing work because you need to use that time in order to make money. Where it goes wrong is when people outsource work and think, oh, I've got an hour now to twiddle my thumbs and go on social media. No. You need to focus on the sales, okay? Focus on bringing in more money to replace that income. That's the way you have to look at it. So I'm hoping today's podcast has given you some practical tips that you can use in your business that will help you with overwhelm. Okay, so like I said before, get the diary out, look at the task, allocate a time, book it in as an appointment, turn off all distractions, do the work, rinse and repeat. If you're not in a position to do that and you work like so many hours a week, then you need to look at how can I outsource some of this work, because your business will not move forward if you have a to-do list that's like as long as your arm. And a to-do list will never end if you don't sort through the priorities of what tasks need to be done and when. Okay, guys, I'll see you for the next podcast. Take care. Bye for now.